there's a little significance because these are Jolly Rancher brand jelly beans, and I find them to be a little smaller than some brands, particularly the Brock's candy brand.
Mhm.
If you have any idea in your brain about how big those are. So I don't know. Are y'all seeing the whole thing?
Mhm.
Okay. There's some edible grass in the bottom, which is a new experience for me. It's not particularly good. It just dissolves in your mouth, but it was kind of a cute idea to put in a candy jar. The bunny is a solid chocolate bunny.
Mhm.
It doesn't affect the number of jelly beans, except that if it was hollow, I thought it might break with all these jelly beans sitting in it.
Mhm.
And I will say, if you are desiring to do something like this yourself, I learned that you need a jar that has some flat. This has like 4 flat sides, but the corners curve. Because if you use a round jar and you put your bunny in and you start dropping the jelly beans in, the bunny gets covered up, because it's
Right. Yeah. Mhm.
and you can't get the bunny up against the glass. So
Mhm.
it took several experiments on my part and a variety of chocolate bunnies before I could settle on this. So any questions? That's the back. We're coming around again to the front. There you go.
So there are no jelly beans under the grass.
I put the grass in first, but it's
Okay.
flimsy.
Okay.
There's a few kind of hidden, but not very many.
Okay.
Back, you can see there's more grass.
Okay.
Right there. And this is a nice jar for storing things in after you've eaten jelly beans. And I was asked, did I really count them? Yes, I really counted.
She gave me an exact number. I know she counted them.
I counted them in batches of 10s. That's not a hint. I'm just saying I counted in batches of 10.
Thank you, Sue.
All right.
It's so cute. I don't like jelly beans, so I would just look at it or rip that chocolate bunny out and eat that.
Right.
Yes. Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
All right. So I am going to open us in prayer, and then I'm going to turn it over to Kim and Mimi. So if you all will pray with me. Creator God, thank you for spring and for the hope of warmer, longer, and brighter days. Thank you for the coming of growth and life. Thank you for the things that are coming awake in our world. We thank you for all of those who contributed ideas today and planned for this time. We thank you for their creativity, for their willingness to share. And we ask, oh God, that you would bless this time. Make us aware that even across a variety of places and spaces, you are with us. In your Son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but Jill Davies is trying to get in. Did somebody respond to her?
She's not on my list of participants trying to get in.
She couldn't find the link, so I just forwarded her the email again.
Okay.
She was trying to get it from Kim, sent an email to the circle, and so she couldn't see where the link is in that. So I just emailed it to her.
Linda LeBron also is trying to get in. I don't know why I saw that, but
they're not in the waiting room. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll forward it to her too. She's trying to get same thing.
Thank you.
Yep.
It takes a village to make these things happen.
Yes, it does.
So when and how do we guess the jelly beans?
Go ahead and put them in the chat box if you'd like your guesses down at the bottom. And we will announce the winner. There's Jill. We'll announce the winner at the very end. All right.
So do we chat to everyone or just to you?
You can just chat to me if you'd like. And just in case you don't know how to do that, if you click the chat button on the very bottom of the screen, a chat box will appear on your right-hand side. And there, if you click where it says to, you can select my name there. Okay. All right, Kim and Mimi, who I don't know if both of you are talking this afternoon or if it's just one of you. Mimi says no. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn it over to Kim and share just a little bit about PW.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna make this very brief because I want to get to see all the crafts and everything. So I don't want to take up too much time, but Presbyterian Women at Decatur Presbyterian has right now 2 circles. Now, many years ago, many years ago, Presbyterian Women was much larger and there were like 6 or 8 circles, and they met in home. But over the years, we've and decided meeting at the church is actually the best thing for our now. So that's where we're meeting. So we have 2 circles, the day circle and the night circle. And before worship last year, when everything ran, the day circle met on the second morning of each month, and the circle met on the second Thursday evening of each month. And they had lunch, and the night circle had dinner as part of our time together. We both circles had a Bible lesson out of our Presbytery sponsored study book, and I thought mine was out here, but I'm sorry, I don't have it with me right now. And an opportunity for lots of fellowship and time together, and opportunity to make friendships and just be together and have our Bible lesson and fellowship all at the same time. The night circle has a great time together. So obviously over the last year, we haven't been able to meet in person, but we have been able to meet by Zoom. And I know everybody's tired of Zoom, but it has been the best thing for us to be able to keep up with each other and to continue with our Bible study and have the opportunity to share with one another over this time. So we have our next meeting is Thursday, April the 8th. It's the week after Easter. And for those of you who are not currently a member of one of our circles, we would love to have you join us. I can give you more information. Mimi Thurman can give you more information, or you can call the church office and Denise can help you. We'd love to see you, love to have you join us. Mimi, do you want to add anything?
No, you were fading out in and out. So I was just going to say that the day circle meets on Tuesday, the second Tuesday of the month,
Right.
And has Bible study and lunch, and hopefully that will happen again. And we would love to have anybody join us since our numbers are dropping seriously. We're down to about 13 people. So.
Well, thank you both. And just in case you didn't gather it at this point, this time together today is hosted by the PW, both groups, as well as the fellowship team. So we are grateful for all that you do to stay connected, to study and grow together, and to just support one another in life. So our first lesson today is from Lynn Evans, and she is not here with us today. She is with her family, but she wanted to share a couple of things. Here is some Easter cookie decorating. So at one point, I will warn you, her KitchenAid does get turned on and it gets a little loud. So just be advised. But she wanted to show you how long it takes to mix the icing. So here is Lynn.
Okay, we're going to be making some royal so we can decorate cookies with it, because I think that maybe not everybody is familiar with that way of doing cookies. Okay, so there's 2 ways to make royal icing, and the first way is with egg whites. So that's what we're going to do first. So we have to break an egg to get egg whites. So here we go. Breaking an egg into this little egg separator. That's the first thing. And we're gonna make this, break this egg and save the egg yolk for later. And we're gonna dump the egg white. I already left that egg out of the refrigerator for a while so it would come to room temperature, because that will make the best volume. Okay, so I've got 1 egg white and 1 cup of confectioner 10X sugar. Okay, so I'm gonna start my mixer. Loud, right? And 1 cup of sugar. While it's mixing. I'm gonna add a little bit of vanilla just because I like it. Just a tiny bit. I like vanilla. All right, that's gonna mix and mix and mix. I'm gonna turn it off to push all that sugar down. Just gotta mix until it's stiff and glossy. So it takes a while, just a few minutes. Now, I could have done that beforehand, but I wanted you to know how long it was gonna take to look like this. It looks kind of like Elmer's glue. All right, now we're gonna make the same the same type of royal icing with meringue powder. And this is Wilton meringue powder that you can buy at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or the Cake Art store. Maybe other places, online probably, but I bought it at the Cake Art store. And meringue powder is powdered egg whites. So it's just easier than cracking open an egg, but it's really the same thing. So I'm gonna measure it, and I'm not gonna make you watch me whip it, but we're gonna measure it just so you'll know that that's what you do. Okay, so it says use egg white substitute, that is meringue powder, in this way: 2 teaspoons of meringue powder. Okay, so 2 teaspoons of this white powder. Two teaspoons of meringue powder and 2 tablespoons of water. Here's water I already got out of the tap. 2 tablespoons of water equals 1 egg white. So we already know our recipe is 1 egg white and 1 cup of sugar. So we've got the same thing as 1 egg white, and there goes 1 cup of sugar. So now I'm gonna do the same thing as I did before, except I don't have my mixer. So I'm in a minute gonna mix that up so you don't have to watch me. Okay, I have mixed up this meringue powder royal icing, and it is maybe even a little bit thicker consistency than the egg white royal icing, but it's pretty much the same. Now I have 2 batches. The other batch that you saw me mix up with the egg whites, I have colored and put it in little dishes so I can use it. I colored some pink and I colored some purple. And I covered it up with a wet towel, which some of it got all over the towel, because if you don't keep it covered, it will turn hard. And that's what royal icing does. That's why you use it, because it gets hard. And it's also so yummy. I could just eat it, but I'm not going to, of course. So I put some white royal icing in a piping bag. You can buy, can you even see this? Because it's clear. You can buy a whole package of these clear piping bags at Hobby Lobby or any place that sells cake decorating supplies for pretty cheap, like 100 of them for $5 or something like that. And they're pretty useful for piping any kind of icing, royal icing or buttercream icing, and you just put your icing in there. Like that. And then if you want just a tiny little tip, you can just cut off the very, very bottom with the scissors. Or if you want to use a commercial tip like I did here, then you can put a commercial tip on the end. I made some of these were just slice and bake cookies because that was the easiest way, but you make cookies however you want to make cookies. So we're gonna make a couple of kinds. First, we're gonna make little chicken and egg cookies. And the first thing we're gonna do is take the white icing and make the eggshell. And we're gonna outline the bottom. See, I've let that get hard, and it gets hard really quick. So I'm gonna have to lick it. All right, so we're gonna outline the bottom of the cookie. And then make the broken shell. And then we're gonna fill this in. And this is called flooding. Watch what happens. We don't have to be even very careful. We just kind of sploosh it in there. Can you see it? And then if I shake the cookie a little bit, or take a toothpick and move the icing around a little bit, then it just floods the cookie, and that outline that we made stops it from going off the edge. So now when I do that, that's going to get hard, and it's going to be really yummy, and it's gonna make a hard icing on that cookie. All right, then I'm going to make the chicken with the yellow part, with the yellow icing. And I just took that icing bag and cut a little tip off the end. I didn't even put a tip on it. I just cut a little piece off the end so it made a tip. Now I'm going to outline the yellow. And do the same thing. I'm going to flood the cookie with yellow. let this dry because I'm gonna want to add little eyes to that chicken, and it needs to dry. So I'm gonna move this aside while I make another kind of cookie. So here's another one. And this time I'm gonna flood the whole cookie with green, or you can use any color you want, but I just decided to use green. So I'm gonna outline the whole cookie with whatever color I'm gonna flood it with. That's my border. See, it doesn't have to be all that neat. And then I'm gonna flood the cookie with my color. Flood it with the color. This has got to be the easiest cookie decorating in the history of the world. Then blah, 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 make it flood. And cover up those little holes with the, I'm moving the icing around. RG, this is so easy, you could do it.
Oh,
Well, maybe not.
maybe not.
Okay, now what I like about this cookie particularly is that you don't have to wait for anything to dry. Now you just pick a couple more colors. I'm gonna pick orange and purple. Do you like those colors? So I'm gonna draw a line, some lines across it in orange. So here's an orange line. Can you see this? Can you see it? Okay. So I'm going to draw orange lines across, all the way across the cookie. And then I'm going to draw, look at this. You know, I would say that this plastic baggie is not really the very best thing, but it's going to be all right. It's really thick. If I go off the edge onto the table that I've got protected, then that's just fine. Okay, now watch. I'm going to take my toothpick, or if you had a skewer or something that was longer, that'd be okay. All right. Let's see if I can not block myself. I'll start this way. And I'm going to just go up like this. And then go back down like this. And go up like this. Back down like this. Isn't that pretty? It's pretty much foolproof. I'm resisting licking this toothpick, I'm gonna tell you. And even though I put too much purple right there, it really doesn't matter. Go around the edge like that. And around the edge like that. And wipe that off. And I'll set that aside to dry. Here's one I made earlier with some other colors. Let's see if it works with my squirt bottle. Truthfully, I have not tried this, but I told you you could, so I'll try it. I'm gonna push the icing down to the bottom. Yeah, that works pretty good. It works real good.
like you have better control with that than
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah, really. That's a great idea. Look at there. It would probably work best if you had a lot of icing in there, but I didn't really make a whole lot of icing. Okay, what would look good on that? Orange and yellow? Let's try that. And I'm gonna go all the way off the edge. I could put 3 colors if I wanted to. You can do whatever you want. Do you think your kids would have fun doing this? Maybe let's try just a little bit of green. All right, now let's see what happens. All right, I'm going to go up like this. Look how pretty. Down like that. Put that over there to dry. Okay. I'll come back and let's see if I can just do some eyes with this purple. I've got a toothpick. I'm out of the camera range, right? I dipped my toothpick in some of this purple that was just on my wax paper. And I'm just putting in a couple of eyes and a little nose on this chicken and some hair. And there's a little chicken and egg. So there's you some really, really easy Easter cookies to make. I bet you can do it. Thank you.
All right, if y'all decide to start making these cookies, I'll give you my address. They look so delicious. I wanted to share, she sent a picture of the, hold on just a minute, of the final product here, and let me share that with you. So there's you some inspiration, some beautiful Easter cookies. And next up we have Sue, who is sharing with us about some decorating for your home.
Welcome to the Springtime Extravaganza, brought to you by the Fellowship Team and the PW Night Circle. I believe that you've already seen Lynn Evans prepare some Easter treats, decorated cookies, decorated cupcakes that look wonderful and taste even better. No, they both look the same and taste the same, both wonderful. And you're about to see Kathy Morris give you some suggestions for ways to decorate Easter eggs. So it is my task to help you create an Easter egg tree that you can use to hang to display your Easter eggs while you eat your Easter treats. When we planned this or talked about it at Night Circle, several ladies suggested that they would like ideas to use with children or grandchildren. So I'll try to keep that in mind and comment on that throughout this presentation. Before you start your egg tree, you need a container to hold it. So you can always look around your house and find a flower pot or container that you already have. I think this square white flower container would be very pretty. You could go with something like this urn and have a nice fancy one. But children can't be involved with that, even though those would be very pretty. So if you want to decorate a flower pot, it's a great way to include children in this activity. Go to a gardening store, Lowe's, Home Depot, Pikes, buy yourself one of the plain terracotta clay flower pots, or even Hobby Lobby, I've learned, has those. And you can end up with a creation like this, or the flower pot that the tree I have made is actually in. Now I've used acrylic paints to paint this. I like the bright colors. I suggest that you first cover your clay flower pot with just a coat of white acrylic paint, and then pick the color that you would like to use. If you want to buy a saucer, it's fun to decorate that as well, or I just used something that I already had to put the flower pot on. And when it comes to decorating, you can do anything you want to on there freehand, like the flowers and the little vine on this. There's flowers at the top of this one as well. But if you don't feel comfortable doing it freehand, it's really easy to make a little stamp from sponges. Just get the inexpensive sponges from your grocery store and then decide what design you would like to use. I suggest that you go to your cookie cutters, or buy some if you don't have them, and just pick a real simple design with an Easter theme. Like the bunny, the one that I used, I think carrots would be a lot of fun and look cute, or butterfly for springtime would be pretty. So take your cookie cutter that you've selected and just trace it onto the sponge and cut that out like I have done here with this bunny. And then you dip it in your acrylic paint and press it up against the flower pot. You can see more easily on this paper how it looks. I don't think you can see it as well in that flower pot. Now with these sponges that are just cheap to begin with, they have a lot of, some have big holes in them, and so your stamp might not be complete. You might have spaces where the paint did not transfer. Just take a regular paintbrush and smear that paint around, and that will fill in the gaps that have been left behind. This sponge is, I think it's a natural sponge, I'm not sure, but I like the rounded part of this, and that's what I use to stamp the grass at the bottom of this flower pot. And again, acrylic paints are what I use. You can get those at Michael's, at Hobby Lobby, I guess at Walmart. I truthfully haven't looked for them there, but I bet they have some, and that will work well. It's easy to clean up if it's still wet, but if you've got children doing this, I am not successful in getting dried acrylic paint out of fabric. So I would say put an old t-shirt. Don't put your new Easter outfit on to do this decorating. And I'm holding up this sponge because these little, sponge brush, they're inexpensive and they work great for painting the flower pot. That's a lot of fun, I believe, to get that decorated. It's a fun part of the project. Now you're going to need some branches for your tree. Here's another part where children can really help out. Go to the backyard. Go on a nature walk. If you're lucky like me, you live near a park, and I went hiking through the woods and just found limbs that were already down. I hated to cut limbs off of a tree this time of year because they're about to burst into bloom or leaf, and I didn't want to destroy any of that. So all these branches were just on the ground, and I drug them home and used them. To get them secure in your flower pot, you can put styrofoam inside, cover it up with your Easter grass like this. But I actually used some Oasis that had already been used for flowers. It didn't have a lot of holes in it. I had let it dry out. I flipped it over so the bottom part that didn't have any holes in it was up on the top here. And after I stuck my branches in, I took my hot glue gun and squirted a little hot glue down in there just to make the limbs more secure. So I recommend that you do that. Now you've got your flower pot all ready. It's time to make your paper flowers. But, oh, I need to back up just a minute. I would suggest that before you get your flowers on the tree, that you go ahead and hang your eggs, or at least some of them. Obviously, this one's not going to come off until after Easter, when this tree is probably put to rest. But I can break the branch off and remove the egg, which is something that I want to save. But put a few on, and then others can be added afterwards. I've got some of those right now. Oh, here's one that was put on after things were attached permanently to the tree. The directions for these flowers originally came from an old Martha Stewart magazine. I had just ripped the page out. I don't know what issue, how many years old it was, but I had ripped out the page, saved it. I just hadn't gotten around to trying it until now, and I had a lot of fun making them. The original directions call for a 5-inch square of cardstock. If you've got a paper cutter, that makes it a whole lot easier to cut these. If you don't, pencil and a ruler. But I made a lot of the 5-inch square flowers, which I'll show you how in just a minute. And then I wasn't that happy with how they looked, so I shrunk it down to 3-inch. I think any size square will work, but the smaller it gets, the harder it's going to be to fold and work with. So you take your 5-inch square, and I'm using that now because it's bigger and therefore easier for you to see. First step, and by the way, Emily has these steps in a handout, and I think she's going to post them for you to download if you want to. The first step is to fold it in half, just like this. When you fold it, you want a nice sharp crease. You want to press it down on your surface and press firmly. They do make a tool for that. I don't have one, so I just used a pin with a smooth edge, and I just really would bear down hard like this, and then I'd flip it over and crease it once more. That's your first step. Your second step is to fold that again. So you've shrunk it down to a 2.5-inch square. I always go like this on my hard surface, so I get it really creased really, really good. Looking like this at that point. Your directions then tell you to open that back up to the full 5-inch square. That's not the one I wanted. I'm switching to this one right here, sorry. And you want to make 2 diagonal folds. Like this, same thing, press it firmly, open it up, fold it again, press it firmly, open it up. You got a lot of fold and crease lines, and I think that makes these flowers prettier. In nature, flowers are not flat, so it gives them some dimension when you put them on the tree. That's why I like to really bear down on that. You've unfolded it. Now you want to refold it back to your original 2.5-inch square. I'm going to backtrack for a minute. Just put that aside. You need to make a template for the petals on your flower. So start with a square. This is just one layer, all right? Start with a square that's half the size of your original square. And I recommend that you use another color so your template will stand out nicely. I've used pink here. You want to draw a heart on this square and make it as big as you can inside the square. Put the bottom point of the heart in one corner so that it's placed diagonally like this. Take your pencil and trace around and then cut that out. Once you've done that, you've got your pink template or your alternate color template, and then, this was the one I picked up by mistake a minute ago. You place it on here, your folded up 5-inch square. Place it on there, putting the bottom point of the heart at the folded corner. You see, this corner is completely open. These 2 corners are partially opened. You want that bottom point to line up with the completely folded square. Trace around it. Use a pencil, but I use ink so it would show up better. And then take your scissors. It's pretty thick, don't use your good fabric scissors, but use sharp ones. It'll dull the fabric scissors, and cut along the heart line. If you've placed your heart incorrectly, when you open it, they're going to fall apart. Well, and that happened to me once. You know you did it wrong, throw it away, just start over on another one, but this is what you've got once you open it up. So you have a nice pretty flower with creases and dimension to it, but you need to add some color to it. Dogwoods aren't blooming right now, so I was not able to study a blooming dogwood, but I have this real pretty artificial branch that I've had for several years, and it looks realistic to me. So I studied the way that they had shown the color on the flower. According to Martha Stewart's directions, she said to take a pencil with a clean eraser that hadn't been used and dip it in green ink and stamp the indentions. So you could do that, or you could do it with pink, but that just didn't look very realistic to me. So I had an idea that I thought was kind of nifty. I went to my makeup drawer. I have samples of things. When I buy makeup, you know, you get a bag of freebies, and I just rub my finger in the blush. That's what this is, pink blush. I'll rub it and then transfer it. Children would have fun doing that. Some of the cutting steps here might not be great for kids, but they can decorate this and have a really good time. Do the pink in there, and because you're putting it on a tree, you can see both sides, and look, the back of these petals, they're translucent. You can see the color through that. So I decided to color each side, but then I took a yellow gold, mostly gold, gel pen, and I did a little star in the middle. I took some green chalk, and I used my finger again. I just smeared it over that, because to me, these were kind of yellow green. And I thought it looked nice. So I highly recommend the old blush. I think that's a great tip. You can make your own leaf template. Just cut some and cut out leaves, however many you want. Now it's time to attach them to the tree. I attached some by themselves, like right here. Some I attached, and then the stem isn't that pretty behind it, you can see, so I covered it up with a leaf. But others, I just put two back to back, and I was happy with the way that looked. It was recommended that you use white Elmer's type glue, but I think that might be a little frustrating. I think you would have to hold it on the branch a good while before the glue set up. So I went to my hot glue gun, which I enjoy using, but now that might be a step that you need to monitor carefully if you're letting children do this. It's not hard to burn yourself, so have a cup of cold water. If you do get a burned finger, that you can dip your fingers into the water. But the cardstock is thick enough so that if you get a blob of hot glue between two, I really could handle pressing the paper together until it's set up. And I thought that worked nicely. So you've got your flowers on your tree. I thought it was a fun idea to add a little bird's nest. They sell these at Hobby Lobby minus the eggs, but I had some eggs that I kind of glued in there, and just set that, now I can't get it back in, set that back into your tree. And the eggs on here are special ones to me. Some of them are store-bought eggs, like this one right here, but there's some really special ones on here that were handmade by Jimmy Bird. And some of the folks, I hope, that are with us today knew her and knew how talented she was. And I think Kathy's going to share some ideas that Jimmy used with you when she presents those to you. After I had made all these big 5-inch square flowers, I thought, well, I need to try to think of some other ways to use them. Didn't want to throw them out, so I came up with a couple of ideas. One is on this table setting, and I think we'll have a still picture that Emily can show you, but I used it as a place card. I glued a leaf behind it. I just got a little branch there to kind of make it look realistic, so you could set your Easter table using that. Another was just to take some straight branches and make a bouquet for any kind of vase that you might have at home. And these won't shed like flowers from a real tree. But my favorite one is the gift bag idea. I used my 3-inch flowers for this. And when you glue it on, you notice that the flower has like a little point at the back. So I like that the flower petal doesn't glue flat to the bag. Put a glob of hot glue and just stick that little point on there. And it just looks more, obviously it's paper, but it looks more natural to me when it has that dimension. I hope that you enjoy making your egg tree and embellish it in beautiful ways. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sue. That was wonderful. I'm going to, Sue, I'm going to put you on the screen again so you can show us that awesome mason jar again. We had a few people join us after we had started. So for those of you who haven't seen it, Sue has made this beautiful jar of jelly beans and a chocolate bunny and some edible grass, which she says you may or may not want to eat. But she is going to give that away to anyone who can get the closest to the number of jelly beans in the jar without going over. So if you have guesses, go ahead and put those in the chat. You can send them to everyone if you'd like, but you can also select to send them just to me. And that is in the chat box.
Emily?
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to show one of the eggs that
please. Yes, go ahead.
I don't know if it'll show up well on this, but Jimmy did incredible things. And this is like a little panorama egg.
Those are so pretty.
First of all, hold on. Here's the outside, all these little pearls and things. But look at this, everybody. Can y'all see what she did? Inside of the egg, it looks like she probably cut pictures off of greeting cards that have a good bit of body to them and just put them inside the egg. I just think that's amazing. I wanted everybody to see that up close. Just talented. But you want the jelly bean jar again?
Yes, let's get the jelly bean jar up and y'all take a guess. We will share the winner at the very end. So closest to the number of jelly beans without going over. So what we are going to do now is we're going to break out into a few different breakout groups. And I would like for you to share in your groups what your favorite or most memorable springtime Easter memory is. A memory you have from an Easter past, or maybe a tradition, an Easter or springtime tradition that is special to you. So you have about 5 minutes. So I know we have such wonderful stories to tell, but just keep that in mind as there are about 4 people in each group. So make sure there's enough time for everybody to share. So I will see you back. If you don't know how to do breakout groups, you'll get a box. Make sure you click join and it will send you out. So we'll see you back in about 5 minutes.
Well, that was neat meeting Kathy's sister.
Oh, you guys are in the same group. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, she's great. She's been to a few of our women's retreats too.
That's what she was saying too. Yeah.
That's awesome. So Jody has your new house.
It's great. It really is. It's so nice. It's just so nice to be close.
Yeah.
Lee, we moved from Snellville, so with you being from Grayson, yeah, it's wonderful. absolutely wonderful to be closer because we've always lived in Snowville. So
That was actually where Drew was born, was Snellville.
no,
Yeah. The connections continue with your families.
that is, I really.
Yep.
It's painted on the water tower.
Do what?
It's painted on the water tower. Isn't it?
Drew Wilmshire was
The
here.
birthplace of Drew Wilmshire. Yeah.
But you're really, I am.
Yeah. And that
He was born in, was he born in 90?
87.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And I don't think he lived there for very long before both of his parents were taking calls and doing seminary and all of that. So yeah, isn't that wild?
That is, and he has never, well, why would I have ever told him where I live? But because we're always talking about Middle Tennessee. So wow. Cool.
I know. Keeps going.
Yep.
So we are going to continue, and Kathy is going to share with us about some decorating Easter eggs. So take it away, Kathy.
Emily will share the screen with a document. I'll just talk through it and over it, but please interrupt me or speak up if you have information about something you've tried. I had no idea this was going to get as complicated as I made it. There are just a million ways to decorate eggs, and it's a lot of fun. But if you're looking for ideas, Pinterest and Etsy, of course, YouTube videos, and if you have a specific brand or product, go and look at their website and they'll usually tell you how to use it. I shopped at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann, Home Goods, Target, and Walmart to find things. There are lots of kits. And if you're working with children, probably that's what you want to do. If you want a Wonder Woman egg or something that they find fun and exciting. But if you're looking for something maybe more permanent, or you want to test out your artistic abilities, then you might try some of these ideas that are in this document. So starting out with types of eggs, you might want real eggs. Of course, they have a finite life and they can be hard boiled, or you can empty them first. And they actually have tools that you can buy to blow out the contents of the egg. I have not tried that. It really sounds disgusting to me, but I know that Sue showed us those pretty eggs that have been made by friends, and a lot of them were started out with real eggs. And it's jumbo eggs are easier to work with, and they have a harder shell. So if you want to try it, use a jumbo egg. Plastic eggs, a lot of time we fill plastic eggs with candy, but also you may just want to decorate them and keep them year to year. I found some things stuck to plastic eggs and some things didn't. I ended up with fingers full of moss and glue, and none of it was on the egg. So that was a lesson learned. Wood eggs, I probably will invest in some wood eggs and make some things that are permanent. So we'll go on to the next page. Looking for dyes. It used to be years ago when I was young, you used hot water and vinegar and food coloring, but now there's things you can buy, but I found it very hard to find food coloring in any stores. I looked in Walmart and Publix. McCormick has a lot of information online. You can order their packets and they have different types of coloring, different colors. And they also have charts like this one on the document that if you want to make a specific color, they tell you how many drops of blue and red to put together so that you're not just using the basics. The kits, of course, always have the dye with them and one-time use and you're done. I did go to Cake Art and ask them, and they sold me a couple of types of food coloring that also can be blended in with like frosting, and those work also. So it's important if you're going to use real eggs to prepare them properly and do it ahead of time. If you're working with kids, they may get impatient, so make sure that you've boiled them and let them cool and dry ahead of time. You can use an egg punch to pierce the shell if you're going to eat them later. Some types of coloring, you can eat the egg and some you can't. So be sure you know what you're doing. And on the next page, some information about putting them in cold water first, covering them, taking them off the heat, how many minutes. If the egg's bigger, a little bit longer time. And then put them in cool water when you're through. I did actually try some in vinegar afterward, and that was interesting. I think it helps the shell take on color a little better. So that's a technique to try. And then basic dyeing, there's the hot water with vinegar and drops of food color. I think we all tend to get impatient. We don't want to put enough color in there, or we don't want to leave them in the color long. But for deeper colors, you really need to allow about 5 minutes. And remember to flip them and turn them so that they're even. One of the easiest ways, and I think kids would like to do this, is to block some of the egg from the color being applied. So you can use foam stickers for different shapes, washi tape, which is an art supply tape, even the little dots that come with things you might want to mark your files with, or tie string or rubber bands. And they show, I like this picture of almost making plaids and checks using tape, dyeing it in a color, taking the tape off, repositioning it, and dyeing it in another color. And you can try just wrapping the egg in tin foil. It's going to get kind of a mottled, crunchy effect, and put it in the dye, take it out, remove the tin foil. And the next page, paper towels can be used, and you can dip it in one color, then dip it in another, use paper towel to blot, and another color, and you'll get a nice mottled effect. You can also use oil for marbling, and try it in 1 or 2 colors. Remember to think ahead about what colors you like and you think look good together. Tie dyeing looked really fascinating to me, and that is wrapping it in paper towel, add food coloring in blobs around, but you blend them by spraying them with water till they blend, and then put them in color, unwrap it, and you get the wonderful bright colors. Now the next page is shaving cream technique. And I know Lynn has done this with her grandchildren. I did try it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And you can either do it in one large flat dish, or you can use individual bowls as you see in the picture. And you fill that up with shaving cream. You can use whipped cream or Cool Whip too, and then they're edible. They're not if you use shaving cream. And you can either use the white shaving cream and just put some drops in, or you can mix one color in the shaving cream and then drops of the second or third color. And you place the eggs in the shaving cream to coat it. You take it out with the shaving cream all over them and let them dry, and the color seeps into the egg. And then after a while, you can use paper towels to remove the shaving cream and then rinse them off. Now, the ones I did, they looked like planets in the solar system. They were a lot darker than this and pretty intense. So it's amazing that it does work through all that shaving cream. All right, this was a lot of fun. I did try decoupaging plastic eggs, and not many tools you need. Mod Podge and those foam applicators that Sue was showing. Mod Podge comes in a lot of different finishes, so you can do extra glossy all the way down to very matte. So you can choose what you want, and a lot of them are at the art supply stores or Hobby Lobby. I learned from my mistakes that it's best to use tissue paper that's in a napkin and use just the top layer. And discovered a product called rice paper that you can order online, and I'm going to order some of that. The ones in the lower right are some of the Easter themes, so they're tiny little decorations that would fit on an egg and are real pretty. I overdid it. I tore up the tissue and I had too many layers and it got too dark. But it was fun to do, and you'll learn by trying. The ones that are pink and floral and He Is Risen, that He Is Risen was in the middle of a napkin. They just cut it out and used it to curve around an egg. I thought that looked really nice. And you do have to kind of smooth it between layers and put it aside to dry a long time. All right, and then some other ideas that I didn't try any of these, but I think they're really interesting, and probably some of you have done the silk ties. You have to get actually silk fabric ties, buy them at a thrift store and cut them apart, and then you wrap them around the egg with a twist tie, and then they use a white fabric on the outside. I think it's to keep the color more intense and on that egg. And then you actually, these are eggs that are raw to begin with, and you boil them with a little vinegar and water for 20 minutes, remove them, let them cool, and then take off the wrapping, and the color is just amazing. Even an ugly tie ends up looking pretty on an egg. Pazanski egg ornaments, I think this is Polish or Eastern European, but you can buy these sleeves that shrink wrap on the egg, and it's fairly quick, but really ornate and beautiful. And then another technique is marbleizing eggs using nail polish. We use cold water and then put some spots of different colors of nail polish in it. The container is going to take on that color, so don't use one that you cherish. And then you kind of do one side at a time, dip it into the water with the nail polish and let it dry, and then start all over and dip the other side. So those are a few ideas, and I'd be anxious to hear what any of you have tried or and have enjoyed.
Thank you, Kathy. That beats all of the blowing out of eggs I did as a kid and dipping it into the regular old boring dye. So those are so fun. Thank you. We now have one last segment from Lynn Evans. She is showing us how to make bunny cupcakes. They're super cute. And she references a YouTube video. We're not going to watch that because it'll just kind of show you how to decorate, which she does an excellent job of doing. So I'm going to put that though in the chat box for you all if you are interested in looking at that later. It came from Pinterest. So here is Miss Lynn with bunny cupcakes.
Hey there, and welcome to my kitchen. So we just watched that little Pinterest video of how to make an Easter bunny cupcake. It looked really easy, right? So I tried making one, and here was my first attempt. It really wasn't all that easy. So let's make one together, and maybe we'll see how to do it a little bit easier. Okay, first of all, I made a batch of cupcakes. I used a cake mix, and I used some of these cute little liners that I got from Kroger. And then I made up a batch of icing using the recipe that Emily put on the website for you. And here's my buttercream icing. So I made buttercream icing, but you can also just buy some at the store. And this is Pillsbury Creamy Supreme Vanilla. So I tried either way. So we'll ice one with, we'll do it both ways. So here's a cupcake that we're gonna ice with Creamy Supreme Vanilla, and we're just gonna put a whole bunch of glob of it on this cupcake, and just ice it really heavy with a knife and put a lot of it on there and like mound it up really high like that, glob it on. And then I have a bowl of shredded flaked sweetened coconut in this bowl, And I'm gonna roll the cupcake around in that coconut, like that. Okay, now I'm gonna try it another way. I put my homemade buttercream icing in a decorating bag with a decorating tip on it, and I'm gonna squirt it out like this with my decorating tip. Now that looks pretty fancy, but watch what happens when I fluff it around in the coconut. It looks just the same as when I did it with a knife with the icing I bought at the store. So it doesn't make any difference what you do. It comes out just the same, okay? So I've got icing and coconut on a cupcake, all right? Then the little video from Pinterest said, take a marshmallow and cut it. It didn't say that, it just showed you cutting a marshmallow. Well, I cut marshmallows all kind of different ways, and only one way works. So I'm gonna show you how to do it. You take the marshmallow, here's the marshmallow, and you have to hold it like this, like the how do you say that, RG? Like the
end is pointing away from you.
Like the end is pointing away from you, like the like if you cut it like this, if you cut it like that, like across it, that won't work. That won't work. Okay, so you have to cut it on the round end like this. That's the only way it works. Or you can cut it half in two, but you have to cut it across the round end like that. That's the way it works, because then it looks like a bunny ear. And that's the only way it works. Believe me, I've cut this marshmallow a whole bunch of times. So you cut it like that, and then you take this pink sanding sugar. I bought this at Kroger for like $1.29, and pour some on your table. I've got some wax paper on my table, and put the cut edge in the pink sugar, and then it looks like a bunny ear. So here's the cut edge in the pink sugar. Now if you didn't cut it like that, it doesn't look like a bunny ear. So you have to cut it across the middle like that. All right, then you can pinch it a little bit, and then there's something behind me in that window. Then you need a poker. I've got a metal straw because my grandkids use metal straws, but you can use any kind of thing, a pin or anything you want, but some kind of poker, and poke a hole where you're going to put the bunny ears. If you don't, they won't stick in there. So poke a hole and poke, where did I put that bunny ear? Poke a hole and poke the bunny ears. Ah, cute, bunny ears. Okay, now if you were smart enough to buy some miniature marshmallows, that would be easy, but I didn't. It didn't say do that, so I didn't do it. So you can just cut another little piece of marshmallow, just a little small piece of marshmallow like that, and roll that around in the pink sugar. Oh wait, you can't see it. Roll that around in the pink sugar until it looks like a little pink piece of marshmallow, and then poke that. You didn't see me do that. Poke that in the icing. And poke that in, and that becomes his nose. Now look what happens if you don't use the poker and you stick it in there. It gives the pink sugar all over the white icing. That doesn't look cute. So that's why you want to use the poker. And you don't really want to lick it. because that's not really very sanitary. Then you use the poker and poke 2 holes right above the nose. And then you can take a chocolate chip and poke right above the nose, and that becomes his eyes. And there you've got a little cute bunny cupcake that you can serve at Easter, even though it's Lent right now. But when it's Easter, you can serve those to your grandkids and your kids and your nieces and nephews, and everyone will love them. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Lynn and Kathy and Sue. Those are some wonderful ideas. And every time I watch the cookies and cupcakes, I just want them to just be in my kitchen. So they look delicious. So our last thing is to announce a winner. Brace yourselves, friends. This is a big number. So the number, and Sue, correct me if I'm wrong, but is 1,083. Isn't that insane? Yeah. So needless to say, most of you didn't come super close. You were guessing what I was guessing. But our winner is Laura Hampton with, oh, no, I'm sorry. Hold on. I misread that. It's Mimi. Mimi, you guessed 468. Laura guessed over, so I had to, she's not here, so maybe that she won't be offended. But yes, Mimi is our winner today. So thank you all for joining us. I think Mimi asked in the question or in the chat box about the St. Thomas More Walk to the Cross. You can find more information on their church website, but it is Saturday, March 27th from 3 to 5 p.m. For walking Stations of the Cross around downtown Decatur. So don't forget to check out, join us Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday in person if you are ready for that. Registration is online, and we hope to see you online or live streamed. So you all take care and have a great week. Bye, everybody.